Hi, I'm Rhonda Gaskins, broker Century 21 Lake Area Realty in the Lake Martin area. On average, our sales price are commanding a strong 96% of list price. Call me today and let me get started for you. 256-749-3644.
Hey, welcome in again. I'm Lizi Arbogast with Central Alabama Voice alongside Kayla Brooks. We are here for the Week 8 matchup preview show. It is incredible that it is Week 8.
I mean, it's been flying by, and I mean, I thought about that when I saw that on there, Week 8.
Week 8, yeah.
It feels like it was Week 0 just the other day.
Exactly.
It's kind of flown by and gone through, and we're starting to really see how good some of these teams are, and we're starting to see that some teams maybe aren't as good as we thought they were.
Yes, I agree with you there, and we do have some big games this week in terms of playoff implications and even region implications, things like that. So we will kick it right off Thursday night. Big game for Carver hosting Sidney. Lanier could clinch a playoff berth.
Yeah,
which
I mean,
would be great for them.
This would be huge for Carver. You know, that region is going to match up with the region with McAdory, Mountain Brook, Briarwood, all of them in the first round. So
it's a tough one.
You know, for them, just getting into the playoffs is going to be big. Kind of surprised with their loss last week, honestly. I told you, I think, in the show last week, you know, is Carver that good? Or, you know, did Lee just not play well? And Lee obviously gets shut out by Opelika on Saturday.
Yeah.
So maybe Carver is a little good. Maybe Lee's not as good as we thought they were. And, you know, it's going to be tough, you know, I think for that region matching up with whoever they match up with, because the top three in the region they're matching up with are so good. So it's going to be a big one for Carver, though. And then for Lanier, you know, you can still play your way into getting into the playoffs, as crazy as that sounds, with 2 more wins. So it's still big for them, would be big for their program, and they seem to kind of start getting things going now here towards the end of the year. And they may be one of those teams like Park Crossing last year that gets hot at the right time and gets going.
Yep, that's what it's all about, right? Play good at the right time. Mountain Brook hosts Homewood. Mountain Brook coming off yet another win. They're 6-1. Their only loss is to the #1 team in 7A. So, you know, they're obviously a solid team at this point.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people had a lot of high expectations for Mountain Brook coming down to 6A. They get a win over over Briarwood, who had gone up from 5A last year. So this will be a good test for them. You know, Homewood lost to Shades Valley, who I've been just waiting for Shades Valley to finally get a win on the season, because they've been right there. I mean, they played Pinson well. They played, you know, Clay Chalkville well, and they played all these teams so well at the beginning of the year and just couldn't get a win. They finally get one over Homewood, who may have been looking ahead to this week a little bit as well. I mean, a lot of people, you know, all week, hey, the winner of that one, it's the region championship next week. So it's still a big one for Homewood. It keeps them in position to share a region championship if they win this one and be in position really to win it, because they'd have the win over Mountain Brook and then a win over Briarwood. So it's big for both these, and Mountain Brook pretty much wins the region if they win this one, and sets themselves up to be in pretty good position heading into the playoffs. Yes,
and on to Friday night with some lower classification games. Montgomery Catholic heads to Trinity, and that one is region on the line. Winner clinches the region championship. At this point, both are going to host playoff games, but still, obviously, there's a big difference between playing a 3 seed and a 4 seed.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that you got Catholic, Trinity, and Montgomery Academy all on the same road, and yet they're not all in the same region together. But this is big right here, because those teams are probably going to end up playing, and this game will have a lot on who ends up hosting later on down the road, and all that would have a lot to do with, if these two teams meet up again, who's hosting in the playoffs. So this has a lot on the line here, and we're going to find out a lot about these two teams. You know, I think Catholic's been really tested playing Pike Road at the beginning of the year, and seeing a team like that at 5A. So going to be really interested to see how Trinity matches up with them. And, you know, I think you're going to see a lot less points than what both these two teams have been scoring, too, because of how good both of them are in defense.
I would agree with you there. Talladega heads to Sylacauga. Sylacauga is looking good right now, you know, and they are looking to clinch a home field advantage in round 1 with a win, which I think that they'll get, but still, this is always, you know, these teams are relatively close together and enjoy playing each other.
Yeah, well, they'll set up a game with Hopeful next week for home field advantage if they get a win in this one right here. Right. So that's going to be a big matchup next week to really look forward to, Sylacauga and Hopeful in that one. And for Sylacauga, you know, you should win this one against Talladega, but you've got to win this one. That's why it's important.
Don't overlook it.
Don't overlook it. Don't take anybody lightly. You know, Talladega's got a ton of athletes. And so if you're Sylacauga, you just got to show up and play well and get a win here and set yourself up to be in position to set yourself up to host, because that's going to be huge in the first round of the playoffs, being able to stay at home and not have to worry about COVID travel and all that stuff.
All those things. Yeah, I agree with you there. Up in 7A, Thompson is at Oak Mountain. Thompson cruising right along here. But Oak Mountain is going to be a good test. Again, I don't necessarily think they're going to be that good of a test that Thompson's going to lose, but still a good test.
Well, you never know, though. That's the thing. And Oak Mountain runs a triple option. They slow the game down. They run the football, and they play a style of offense that if Thompson doesn't do the right things on defense, it could set up for a quick night, but a long night for them on defense, not being able to stop them. And, I know Oak Mountain has a really good quarterback in Evan Smith. I mean, he has games where he's thrown for 160 and run for 160 in the same game. So they're really balanced. They have a good senior group, and so this is a big game right here. And as crazy as it sounds, Oak Mountain winning right here could really shake things up and give them a chance to win the region up there, which nobody would have guessed before the season.
Yeah, it's interesting how it all.
That region's crazy because it's already settled on what 4 are going to the playoffs. Like we already know what 4, but now they're all just going to be playing each other to see who's seated where. And so you don't normally see that where it's all 4 have already. Hewitt's in, Oak Mountain's in, Thompson's in, and Hoover's in. And that's already decided.
So
but now
what's the seeding?
Everybody's looking at Hoover and Thompson. They're going to be playing for the region in a couple of weeks. But you can't overlook Oak Mountain. You can't overlook Hewitt either, who's going to get to play all these teams. So.
And speaking of seeding and some weird mathematical things going on, Dadeville is at Reeltown, which is always an exciting game for the Tallapoosa County community, but even more exciting this year because it is region. And now even more exciting because it's not just a region game, but it's a region game that means a lot. It's not like one's in and one's out and one's having a horrible season. They're both having fairly decent seasons. This means a lot, this game. Yeah,
and it's crazy because I think for Reeltown, if they lose, they're pretty much mathematically out. If they lose the next 2. If they lose to Pike County and lose to Dadeville, they're out.
Which would be weird.
If they win this one, they're automatically in, and then it just comes down to that game next week deciding who's the 3 seed and the 4 seed. So it's going to be really, really weird, but a good chance for Dadeville here to not only win and give themselves an opportunity to win next week and clinch a playoff berth, but keep Reeltown out of the playoffs potentially too, which is going to be big for them. So, that's going to be a really, really good game down there, and I think it's one, Dadeville didn't play last week due to COVID concerns and stuff, so now getting a week off, does that help them or does it hurt them going into this game? And for Reeltown, they're just trying to get things back going. They played so well to start the year and how they started off, and then now they just haven't played as great here lately. So for them, trying to get things back rolling and build some momentum heading into the playoffs.
Absolutely. And lastly, our game day experience game of the week, Lynette at Randolph County, another region title pretty much on the line at this point. Lynette 6-2, Randolph County 7-0, both undefeated in that region.
Yeah, and everybody kind of expected these 2 teams to be there at the beginning of the year. The BB Comer's one that's surprised in this region. And,
right? Where did they come from?
Yeah, and
they were winless like 2 years ago.
Exactly. Lanett beat them. That's their only loss right now on the season. And so if Lanett wins, they win the region. If Randolph County wins, then that opens up the door for BB Comer to then step in and create a 3-way tie between those 3. So going to be really interesting to watch Randolph County the next 2 weeks. I think they're going to get their biggest 2 tests of the whole season. The thing that's interesting is Lannett's been tested. We watched them against Valley, saw them against Handley. They've already played BB Comer. So, going into this game, I think I favor Lanett a little bit just because of the competition they've played outside of region, how they played against those teams, and the fact they've already seen BB Comer and kind of gotten tested in that game a little bit. And you look at some, you can't compare scores because it's a week-by-week thing in football.
It's weird,
but if you want to compare scores, Lannett's beating the crap out of some team that Randolph's had a little bit more trouble with. So it's going to be a really interesting game, but going into it, I favor Lanett.
And Lanett is always just one of those powerhouses in the lower classifications.
Well, and they're coached so well, too. I mean, Coach Story does such a great job there. I mean, I think he's proven that now with what he's done as the head coach. Done it now without his son, Christian, who's at Alabama. I mean, obviously his other son, Caden's there, and he's starting to get Power 5 offers all over the place. But they've got a lot of other good players around him, and he has a great system there, and they're really fun to watch. If you hadn't been down there to watch Lanett, you need to go down there and watch them.
Yeah, definitely get out to a game this weekend. Like we said, a lot of playoff implications on the line, so it's going to be a fun one, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you next week.